Shalom, everybody. Shalom. Blessings and greetings to all of you, the good people. Today, the topic at hand is Halloween and the origins of it. We're going to start off with this scripture right here, and as to why we're digging into the origins of Halloween and why it pertains to us and matters. As it says in Matthew 7:15-20, through the King James Bible, "Beware of false prophets, which come to you in sheep's clothing, but inwardly they are ravenous wolves. Ye shall know them by their fruits. Do men gather grapes of thorns, or figs of thistles? Even so, every good tree bringeth forth good fruit, but a corrupt tree bringeth forth evil fruit. A good tree cannot bring forth evil fruit, neither can a corrupt tree bring forth good fruit. Every tree that bringeth not forth good fruit is hewn down and cast into the fire. Wherefore by the fruits ye shall know them." Right? And just to break that down, because a lot of that's a little bit of older English, we are to know people by their fruits, right? Their origin, right? See, it says that a good tree can only bring forth good fruits. So if something is good, it can only originate from something that is good. And same thing that's evil. An evil fruit can only come from an evil or wicked tree. And every tree that is not good shall be hewn down or cut down and tossed into the fire, right? It's to be purged, right? So I bring that up to say this. What do we practice? What do we do? What do we follow? Right? I want to bring out a few more scriptures before I hit straight on this topic to prime and to give you guys a clearer understanding of what we are called to be like and called to do. In the name of the Father, by His Son. Right? So we're going to go real quick to 1 Peter chapter 1, 14-17. And it reads this: "As obedient children, not fastening yourselves according to the former lusts in your ignorance." Keep that in mind. These were lusts and desires that you had in your ignorance. "But as he which hath called you is holy, so be ye holy in all manner of conversation, because it is written, Be ye holy, for I am holy. And if ye call on the Father, who without respect of persons judgeth according to every man's work, pass the time of your sojourning here in fear." Right? We're called to be holy. And as being obedient, we remove the lust of the world. Right? So that is interesting, because also we are called, real quick, I want to bust one more out before we really get into it. 2 Corinthians 2:11, where it says, "Lest Satan shall get an advantage of us, for we are not ignorant of his devices." That's important. Ignorance. See, we've been told all this time while we was here in America that Halloween, Christmas, Easter, and all these other holidays are good. They are of good spirit, and there's nothing bad about them, right? And as I discussed before, the origin of something has great importance, right? You can't just cover up what it is. Like it says, a good tree cannot bear corrupt fruit, right? But it also says an evil tree cannot bear good fruit. So if something comes from an origin of evil, it is not going to be good or appetizing, right? We have to remember, a lot of these things that we do is a fashion of tradition. It's the lust from our ignorance, right? So with that being said, let's dive into Halloween, right? Let's dive into the word at first. Halloween, which is also known as Hallow Eve, right? And that was a Roman Catholic tradition, which is also known as the Saints' Day Eve, right? Which they had Saints' Day. And it doesn't sound too bad. It sounds pretty harmless. It's a day where you look up, reverence the past saints. Now, reverence in the aspect and respecting the things they've done, the lessons, and what have you, right? I'm pretty sure it actually went to the point of complete reverence, as they do reverence Mother Mary. But the idea behind this Hallow Day, right, was because of the factor that there were pagans, right, who came from the ancestral lines of Druids or Celtics, and they had their own day when they reverenced people, but they reverenced the dead. It's called Samhain Day, right, or Samhain's Day, right, where it's a 3 to 5 day period of them reverencing the dead and dealing with spirits. And from their understanding is that the shortening and the lengthening of days of when the sun is more plentiful, or there's more sunlight, versus when there is less sunlight, right? You have the whole summer and winter solstice, right? Which it's a little bit deeper than that, because this is before the winter and summer solstice. This is the beginning of the waning of the sun, right? They believed that during this time that there were spirits that were loosened and allowed to traverse the earth, right? And this is where we get a lot of our Halloween traditions from, and I'm about to really get into it, right? So let's see. First, let's start with the dressing up, right? During Halloween is tradition to dress up as ghouls, goblins, as doctors, police officers, but the origin and reason of such is much darker, right? As I told you previously, they believed in spirits was able to traverse during this time period. So, what they would do is this. They would dress themselves as goblins, demons, as to hide themselves amongst these spirits so they do not be trampled or to be tricked and deceived, right? To be tricked and deceived, right? So, all right, so that's where the dressing comes up from, which sounds a little weird, all right? Now, let's dive into the aspect of tricking and treating, right? Where does that come from? And from Hallow or Samhain's Day, right? That comes from people paying homage and giving respect, reverence, items, sacrifices, and these sacrifices went from everything as cattle, animals, to human sacrifices to please these spirits so they do not pester and trick and pillage them. This is where trick and treat comes, or trick or treat. If I give these devilish spirits a treat, maybe they will not trick or deceive or come and pester us, right? That's where the mind comes from. Now, let's look at the jack-o'-lantern. This one, I have to say, is the most revolting one of them all, right along with the sacrifices. And these Druids or Celtics thought, hey, if we sever heads and put them up around us, it will ward off evil spirits. So the same people that they're sacrificing, they will cut off their heads and ride around with them as an omen. And they're like, wow, those are completely, vastly different than Halloween. Halloween is not that dark, right? But it's very prevalent that the Halloween is the most overtly dark holiday that we have. With witches and the cauldrons and all these things, right? Have tricking little kids, right? And it's just all jokes and jest, right? So let's go back to these Roman Catholics and what they thought, right? See, they thought that, hey, if we take this Someone's Day, right, and we turn it into Hallows Day or the Saints' Day, that these pagans will change their ways. These pagans will, just worship these things, right? And that worked probably for a time. But what happened was a mutation of Someone's Day. So on Hallows Day Eve, which is now known as Halloween, was the secular rebellion against the Roman Catholics, right? What do I mean by that? Well, as any place comes and it conquers and they put their new laws, there's always going to be a group of people who want to kind of revere their old ways and their old traditions, right? And I'm not saying what the Roman Catholics did was good. I'm not saying that at all. But that is people's innate nature, is to kind of cleave on to whatever ways they had before. So on Hallows Day Eve, right, a lot of the secular people, that's what they call them, but I will even throw in the Roman Catholic as secular as well, that they did what we call Halloween, but they did it on a softer core level. But the essence of Halloween comes from Someone's Day. That alone should make a lot of you reconsider. And if not, we're called to leave the paganistic ways of this world. All right, let me just read off two of those real quick for us. We got Revelations 18:4, which says, "And I heard another voice from heaven saying, Come out of her, my people, that ye be not partakers of her sins, that ye receive not of her plagues." Right? So when the Most High is judging Babylon, mystery Babylon, for all the sins and wickedness that she's doing and propagating, as we can see that this world is becoming increasingly more wicked as we proceed, right? And we also have Jerimiah 51, and it starts from 45 to 47, and it says, "My people, go ye out of the midst of her, and deliver you every man his soul from the fierce anger of the Lord. And lest your hearts be faint, and ye fear for the rumor that shall be heard in the land. A rumor shall both come 1 year, and after that in another year shall come a rumor and violence in the land, ruler against ruler. Therefore, behold, the day is come that I will judge upon the graven images of Babylon, and her whole land shall be confounded, and all her slain shall fall in the midst of her." See, a lot of people can't do without these pagan days, right? If I can show you example after example after example on how Halloween have satanic ties, and its origin satanic ties, and that the Bible tells us that no good can come from a corrupt tree, right? But we will still cleave on to these things, right? We're like a dog returning back onto our own vomit. So let's get into it a little bit more, though. What else about Halloween is so terrible? Okay, it deals with satanistic practices, but that's not how I practice it, right? I don't do it in that spirit, right? If we are called to be holy, as the Most High is holy, that means holy means set apart. Hmm. A lot of us are not accustomed to being set apart. A lot of us are not accustomed to being different because of what we believe. A lot of us, for the very first time, are being challenged because of a medical decision on where we stand. And now that the Father says, many are called, but few are chosen. See, a lot of you will view this video and you will hear it and you'll think about it. But a few of you will hearken. That's why Christ always says, those with ears, let them hear. Right? But let's hear some of the other devious and devilish things that's common to happen during Halloween. A lot of kid snatches, It's a very grand opportune time for kids to go missing. Right? We have a lot of stories and news anchors talking about poisoning candy. And we still subject our children onto these devices. But we're called not to be ignorant of Hasatan. We're called not to be ignorant of Satan and his devices. Right? We're called to be holy. But we still find it fit to partake the ways of the pagan, of the heathen, of the unbelievers. We think that we should just love everything that this world has to offer, even though we know that there's wickedness abound. Many's hearts have waxed cold. There's a lot of treacherous and violent things that take place. And with that being said, many of you would say that there's no parallel, that all these things I said were unfounded, that I'm stretching the imagination. But I'm going to put some links in the description box on the origin of Halloween and see if I'm making these things up. Study to show yourselves approved. Are we not called to do? And see if I'm making these things up. Check for yourself. Do not just take it at the consult of my own words. Right? But that's Halloween in a nutshell. Halloween is a pagan practice called Samhain that was covered up by the Roman Catholics with Hallows Day. But the traditions of Samhain is done on a soft core level, but there's still a lot of devious activities that's done. And with that being said, shalom and peace be unto all of you that the Most High is with.